not get up this morning. I was
Well,
so tired.
too much work, or you probably stayed too late with us last
No,
night?
I got
I
changed
get
to
home and I pop
third
on my
Mondays?
lap. I don't disturb my
Township meetings are always
Five-
to be
Second Thursday, yeah. That's set in stone, we're not moving unless we wanted to, yeah.
Well, you're active, that's a good thing.
Yes. But planning board used to be
You're okay?
the second Wednesday, so.
This thing went out again on me, so.
Oh.
Reconvene the meeting and start with pledge of allegiance.
Oh, yeah, it was with John.
I'll be
That's
this
true,
week.
yeah.
Okay, I'll be right back. I got it.
That's so good.
I see, Mike, yeah. Will everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we have a new change. Beginning tomorrow, all our township announcements, agendas, and other official township business, it's going to be on the township website and the official township Facebook page. That's not the Facebook bulletin board page of East Amwell. It's the official township page. There's a profile picture of the township logo. So if you use Facebook, just do a search and like it. There's about 600 people that like it right now. So that's where you need to go to follow what's going on in the township. Additionally, going forward, we're going to list the announcements on the agenda. They are not all going to be read. We can make some notes of the important ones. Like I do want to mention, there's electronic waste recycling is going to be held on Saturday, February 4th. That's our normal recycling depot day. But that's the time you can give any electronics. And also we have the rabies clinic coming up on January 21st from 1 to 4 in the municipal garage. So another thing we have changed to before we go into it is, it never made sense to me that our first open to the public was for items not on the agenda, because basically that would mean we would vote on resolutions and have discussions before we got to hear from our residents here. So for our first open to the public, it's for agenda items only. And we've had this before, it kind of fell off the radar, but it's going to be limited to 10 minutes. So I would like a motion to open to the public for agenda items only. Yeah.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We are open to the public for items on the agenda. Yes, come forward, please. And, name, address, and speak into the mic so people can hear you.
Sure. Linda Raft, 148 Cider Mill Road. First of all, on the agenda was that first item in the announcements that we were going to from now on start using the website and the Facebook. First of all, great idea, because we were always doing that last year, but we didn't have the formal support like you're giving it now. My question is who's going to be keeping up to date the website? Because it is so badly out of shape that it really needs some people getting in there to do it. And before we just had volunteers doing it because we were short of staff. So who is going to be the person maintaining that, and who do we talk to when we see that things are wrong?
Linda is the one that's going to be maintaining it. She's the employee, the administrator that has control of it. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
big assignment.
Working on other stuff this week, but I will get to it.
Yeah.
Well, okay, because I am concerned about that. And we've gone through a whole year with an excuse of, we don't have somebody to do it. Now we've got somebody we can blame, but they've got more than enough work to do. My next question was, how do you like a Facebook page? I know how to like a post on a Facebook page, but I don't know how to like a Facebook page.
I can show you after the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, because I always learned that you could like, as each item came up, but just because I was a member of the Facebook page didn't mean I liked it.
I can show you.
Okay, great, thank you.
It might be following the page too, not just liking it. That's probably the right term. I misspoke. It's following.
Okay,
it.
because
Yeah.
that's a very different thing than when you follow it, than when you like it. So what I
Correct.
did is I went in there and I saw that you had the meeting planned for today, and I went in and said, like it. I thought that's what you were looking for, that's the post. But I didn't know, am I supposed to go and say like for every single solitary event that comes up there? Also, I'm concerned as a citizen, why we're not reading the announcements. I know Dante mentioned yesterday how he really wanted to have the township people. He was concerned about us sitting in the audience and the things that we did. To me, the people that are on YouTube and don't have the announcements in front of them, and like Judy, who's banned from Facebook, I mean, they may, to me, it's not that much to read the announcements, and I think that it can help people that are following us when they're just sitting at their homes and, listening to the announcements. And if it was huge, I would certainly understand. But I think it only takes about 4 or 5 minutes to read it. I could be wrong, so I'm making my comment that I don't particularly care for it. Okay. And next, it's the other thing you brought up. I understand what you're saying about the agenda items. You want us to discuss those at the beginning. I am uncomfortable discussing agenda items that you haven't even brought up. So I'm going to be asking questions that you will be explaining when you bring up the agenda items, but I will have already asked the questions. And I tell you, I've got 2 pages of the questions now, and it's because I don't know what you're going to say when you bring the agenda up. So I'm sort of against that. I haven't seen it before. I'm certainly willing to work with you, but we don't get even what the packet is until about 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and then I'm going through and looking at each one of the items and saying, oh, what is it I don't understand? I'll bring it up. So I may be sort of short on some of the stuff. Okay, on the agenda that we've got coming up, it says, item number 10, special discussions, presentation, acknowledgements, email server. I have nothing, so my question is, what is that?
I think that'll be thoroughly explained when we get to it.
Well, see,
Yeah.
that's why I didn't want to ask the question
I understand.
now.
I understand what you're saying, Linda.
Okay.
But yeah, that'll be a pretty, knock on wood, simple one.
Right, but you ought to see what I'm going through. Okay, the next one is the ordinance number 2301 and 2302, which is the first reading, the introduction. I don't have a copy of that ordinance. It didn't come out in the packet.
That's what I was supposed to.
Oh,
I'm sorry, that is my fault.
Okay, but I'm just saying, so I haven't even looked at it, so I'm asking you, what is it? Are you going to explain it to
It's
me?
the annual
Yeah, we
ones that
do.
are done every
The-
reorg, but we pushed them off to this meeting, but they are done every reorg meeting.
Okay.
I won't get them to you, I totally.
Do we have any copies now? Like, we'll make some copies for folks?
I can go make-
Well, if you're
Yeah, we
going to
can
bring
take a
it up
break.
and you're going to read it to us and everything, I don't need to do that. It's just, this is an example of looking at the agenda and saying, I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, what I'm saying, if members of the public want to see it, and for whatever reason it didn't get out, Linda, we could make copies. I mean.
Yeah, we can
Okay,
take
so
a-
you're saying I should call her like in the afternoon?
No, we're saying right now we could
I'm
take a
saying-
recess.
I'm
Okay,
saying right
I don't
now,
have a copy.
Okay.
I'm saying right now, do folks want it? If so, we should take a recess. I
Recess.
think and get copies to anybody who wants it.
Okay. My next one is resolution number 2023-40. And that had to do with the, let me see, finance, transfer of funds. All right. My first question was, when does the fiscal year start and end? I understand it starts January 1st and ends December 31st. That's what I asked somebody, and that's the information they gave me? Okay. Why are we making changes to the 2022 budget when we are in 2023? I mean, budgets are saying what you plan to spend. You've already spent it. Why are we changing the 2022 budget at this point in time? We've done it. I mean, I'll bring it up with Mike, because I know Mike's going to be my go-to person, because he's the liaison with the CFA and the treasurer. But I had a real question of why are we doing that?
Transfer of funds
Right.
that Elaine did
Yeah.
because she was cleaning up 2022 and closing it out. The
And,
new CFO
yeah,
had to do the resolution in order to close out 2022.
so what we're saying again, it was the lack of people that have caused us to put this into a year that it shouldn't be.
No,
No.
it's not.
We didn't have a CFO.
We didn't have a CFO to do it.
the work.
Okay, I don't know that we have a CFO now. The last time I heard, we had an acting CFO, but we hadn't said anything about we've got a new
But
CFO.
we hired a mentoring CFO through Phoenix Consulting on what, the 29th?
29th, I think.
The meeting on the 29th.
Did we tell us
Yeah,
us
you-
people?
Yeah, it was on
I
there.
did not see it. I'll
It
go
is.
back and look.
Okay.
Okay, how late do we accept bills from our vendors? I saw a bill in the list of bills from the vendors for 2021. That seems to me a little bit late to be getting bills. I mean, I know that we've always had to wrap up things, and one of the things you did was get in touch with your vendors and say, get those bills in here or we're not paying you because our money is budgeted in the year, not now. What's the answer to that?
I don't know, we'd have to ask Anne Marie or the CFO. That'd be a question for them.
Okay, again, should I be working through Michael for that, because he's the liaison?
I'm sure Mike will take any phone calls that come his way, so yeah.
Okay, because I mean, I had sort of warned him ahead of time that I'm looking for liaison people, and I'm going to be getting in touch with the ones that I think are appropriate for the questions I have. Okay, well, you'll be happy to know I didn't have enough chance to go through everything else, so I'm finished until the after agenda. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else for items on the agenda? Francis?
Sure, I'll be brief. Francis Gavigan, 123 Wartsville Road, offering in evidence. You used to do limiting at the front of the meeting, and individuals would get a time limit, and then there were some brouhaha about constitutional rights being violated. But I think, as we just observed, a total of 10 minutes is not going to give the public an opportunity. Maybe considering that if you're going to be putting a limit up front, that you do it per person or whatever. They were also, it was always at the end of the meeting, when there's nobody here, that there was not a limit on it. I understand the desire to go home and be done and be efficient with the meeting and things like that. But people and reality can be a bit of a challenge, so I would ask that you would reconsider that in light of you're wanting to engage with and talk to people. And if, I mean, it used to be almost had to have an egg timer way back in the Crystal Lands and all of that kind of stuff. And I'd hate to have to dig up my egg timer. That's it.
Thank you.
Another history lesson.
Is it 10 minutes total?
It's 10 minutes per person.
It's 10 minutes per person.
Yeah.
Kevin Ostrander, 174 Old York Road. Good evening, everybody. As I look at the agenda, there's one item that glaringly jumps out at me tonight, and that's the appointment of Board of Health member Rick Wolf. I have to say I was very surprised when I saw that, and I think this committee should really consider rescinding that appointment, and I'll tell you why. And I sat up there for 3 years with the man. For 6 years, he belittled, berated, and verbally abused multiple volunteers in this township. He also used retaliatory tactics against several of them as well. When they didn't agree with him, he removed them from committees, which was unfortunate. And there's a pattern of behavior there. And I'll tell you an example of it recently. In October, as I recall, actually it was in September's meeting where he actually had lashed out at a member sitting in here of the audience who was also a volunteer and called her a racist asshole 3 times, from the dais, no less, without any facts whatsoever to back that up. So, again, there's a pattern of erratic behavior. I don't think he has the demeanor to sit on any committees or boards, for that matter. And I think it's been on display for everybody in the public to see. And I will tell you this, I talked to hundreds of people, Mark and I, when we door knocked during this last campaign, and there's one common thread between all those people we spoke with, a strong distaste for Rick Wolf and his antics. And I don't see how you can put someone like that on this, any committee for that matter. Not only that, my wife served on a committee for a year, and she basically resigned her position after, again, supporting the community like all of our volunteers do, irrespective of party affiliation. And he was the only member on the committee to say, no regrets. How unprofessional. So you're going to sit here and tell me that he's an adequate member for any committee? I strongly disagree, and I think this committee here needs to rethink that strategy.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Right here.
Oh, sorry.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Tim Matthews, 72 Linvale Road. I concur with the comments of Mr. Ostrander, and for a little different reason, the Board of Health position actually has some authority with it. And when residents come to the Board of Health with specific applications, deliberation must happen, and it needs to be fair and equitable. And for people to come in there who are on someone's list as enemies and people who he doesn't like, and again, you could go through the years of service and probably come up with a list of 2 or 3 dozen people that have been dressed down and brutalized verbally by the man. How can they fairly, as residents of this town, come before the Board of Health seeking some sort of solution from the Board of Health? It just doesn't make any sense. Put them on a committee that has no ability to impact negatively a resident. I think that fairly says it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Can I have a motion to close to the public?
So moved.
All in favor? So the minutes from the last 2 meetings, the December 29th, 2022 executive regular session minutes, and also the January 3rd, 2023 reorg minutes, they're going to be carried till the February meeting. So on to special discussion, the email server. It's come to our attention that our email server, we don't really have adequate email server. And Linda's been talking to our Princeton computer people, and they provided us with a quote to upgrade our server to something that is more appropriate for the town and would properly store everything that we need. So the quote was like $6,000.
$150.
Yeah. And unfortunately, I think it's something we're going to need to do to be in compliance with the state. So if there's any other questions.
No, I told
Yeah.
Linda about this one as well, because it sounds like we don't have a choice, right? We've been out of compliance, and there's an issue that brought this up, and we have to rectify this, so. And, I'm sorry, you knew this company, or this is the contractor that we already used today, right? It's just an
Yeah.
expanded service, so we have a high level of confidence in their abilities, and we don't have any performance issues with them or anything like that.
Is this a reoccurring fee, Linda, or this
No, it's
64 and
one-time
change?
migration over to another email,
And this will save our emails for the designated amount of
it's a
time?
7-year retention time.
And then they actively do that, or we need to participate in that?
Now they actively do it, it goes up
Expungement.
into the cloud.
Yeah, my understanding is that they are providing the technology that will do it. Once the technology is in place, it's automatic and provides an appropriate record retention.
And we haven't had this capability in the past?
We don't have it.
Even if we should though, correct? Okay.
Do you know if other towns, surrounding towns are also using that company, or?
Princeton Computer, I think West Elmo uses them, I don't know who else uses them.
Yeah, oh, I think the answer to
They've
the
been
question
around,
is,
though. They're
yeah,
reputable.
that firm, but the technology they're using is Microsoft technology.
Okay.
So it's, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we can move forward with that then, okay, thank you. So on to ordinance 23-01, it's the first reading. Can you please read by title, Linda?
An ordinance to approve the 2023 salary and wage schedule.
So this is an ordinance that's an annual administrative ordinance. It's required by the state that provides for salary increases for employees of the township. Can I have a motion to introduce ordinance 23-01?
So moved.
A second.
All in favor? Aye.
Was this the one we were going to take a break for and get us?
This is the first reading. now.
Yeah.
But you said you'd get us a copy.
I'll get you a copy.
Okay,
Oh, sorry.
This one is the salary and wage, Linda. This is the salary and wage one. This
Well,
is-
I'm worried about when we get to the O2.
Yes,
And
you're
that's
worried
all.
about them too.
We can take a recess if you want to print out the ordinances. I'll make a motion for a 5-minute recess.
Yes.
4-45.14.
This ordinance is an annual budgetary item that allows the municipality to exceed the appropriation it limits if the need would arise. Can I please have a motion to introduce ordinance number 23-02?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, there's a public hearing date of February 9th, 2023 on that. So we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Motion to approve resolutions number 2023-37 through resolution number 2023-38.
I'm sorry, 40. That changed.
Oh, 40, sorry.
40.
So 2023-37 through 2023-40. Can I have a motion to approve those resolutions?
I
So
move.
moved.
A second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Mr. Dendis,
Yes.
Mr. Mills,
Yes.
Ms. Ramsey,
Yes.
Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Mayor Casper Bloom.
Yes. So we're moving on to Resolution 2023-41. This actually was brought up at the previous meeting. The DCA is now enforcing that the governing body reviews the compensation for the fire commissioners each year and adopts a resolution. The fire district taxes are separate from the municipality, so it doesn't make sense that the governing body approves their salaries, but the state is enforcing it. The accountant for the fire district must upload a copy of the approved resolution into the FAST system. So it's coming out of our fire district taxes. It's nothing different than what's been done before. They're just requiring that we have a resolution now for it. So I don't know if we have any questions. Okay. So can I have a motion to approve Resolution 2023-41?
Well, I have one question
sorry.
first, if I may.
Yeah.
So I didn't see anything in the whereas clauses that actually said that the funds comes out of the fire district taxes. If it's not in there, could we put that just to make it clear for anyone who reads the resolution?
That resolution came from the accountant, so.
Yeah, we can bring that up to her. Yeah, just add that in there, that's a good point, yeah.
If we had that, I think
Yeah.
it would be informative to the public and accurate as I understand it. I would move that we amend to do that, and I would move the approval.
Okay. So, there's a motion to approve based on that change, so can I, you're making a motion for that?
Yes,
Okay,
please.
is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Mr. Dendis,
Yes.
Mr. Mills.
Yes.
Ms. Ramsey?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero,
Yes.
Mayor Casper Bloom.
Yes. So we're going to go on to the new business. We have some appointments. I'm going to actually call up, the one appointment who's here in the audience and made himself available is Mike Gum. He's here to be considered for appointment to the planning board. Chairman Willie and Vice Chair Stenson were made aware of this. It was a little late notice because the planning board was just last night. So I believe they maybe reach out to him by phone, but he can come forward if anybody wants to interview him up here. Mike.
Like 6 Fox Hunt Road, is that the process? I don't know.
Did they reach out to you today, Mike?
Nobody, not that I'm aware of. I didn't see any phone calls today.
So we've obviously spoken, and, I asked Mike if he wanted to help out with the planning board. So I'm satisfied with his credentials. He did submit an application. So I have no questions of him, but you folks might if you don't know him.
I know Mike for many years. I'm on board with that.
I've talked to him as well, so I don't have any questions for you, Mike.
I reviewed your application. Do you mind just maybe sharing a little bit about yourself with us, Mike?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I've lived in the township for, I don't even know, 25 years maybe, I guess. 2 different locations. My kids have all gone through East Amwell School. Some are now at Central. I was on the Parks and Rec board at one point for a couple years. That's actually how I first met Mike. I'm currently a teacher up in Bridgewater. I live right around the corner. I was, interested because I live in the community. I'd like to, have a voice, although really just as a representative of what what people want to have happen in the community. And I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of fair, equitable. I hear both sides of most things, so. And, make those kinds of decisions. And I don't know, it's when I would volunteer, that's kind of what I put the application in for.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's nice, too, where you live in the town, because I don't think that's represented quite as well on the planning board, so it's nice to have some people near the village, too. We don't have a lot, so this would give more diversity there, too.
Yeah, I'm one of the city folk that live here, yeah.
I know.
Let me ask, what position? Is this one of the alts, or which one is this?
Yeah, sorry, it's alternate 4.
Alternate 4.
Yeah.
Now, with the appointment of Mike, would that give a full planning board?
It would give a full planning board with 4 alternates.
Okay. We didn't mean to call you on the carpet.
No, I don't mind. I figured I'd have to say
I've known Mike
something.
for probably 17 years. He's my neighbor. We did serve on the Parks and Rec committee a long time ago, and which is when I first got to know him. He's always exhibited himself as an outstanding citizen.
Awesome.
And I think he'll make a good addition with fair-minded and level-headed judgment. It's a little bit of work. If I lie to you, it's probably more than once a month, but that might be my first political lie, but it's where it is.
Yeah.
But that's what to expect one meeting a month, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Thanks for coming out.
I figured that's what it was about. That
Yeah.
sounds good. Do you guys have any other questions, Amal?
No,
I know.
I just want to say, hi, Mike, I'm Dante. I don't have any questions. I appreciate you coming, and I appreciate your willingness to volunteer to serve. And
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
All right.
Nice to
Thank
meet
you.
Thank you, Mike.
Yep, absolutely.
I don't think so.
I don't think so, yeah. So we can appoint Mike to alternate 4 on the planning board. So I'm gonna appoint Allison Kafchak. I think everybody's familiar with her. So not only does she want to do Parks and Rec and the Environmental Commission, she also wants to be on Farmland Open Space, which I know Tara can speak.
We actually talked about that on Monday, and I'm thrilled. So
Yeah.
the committee actually proactively asked. So Allison is not here. So if you're watching, thank you, Allison. You will be a wonderful addition.
So she's, yes, so on Prospect, and then she resigned as Secretary of Parks and Rec, so I'm appointing her on Parks and Rec as a regular member now. And also Kristen Osted's being appointed as a Parks and Rec member. I'm sure Tara probably knows her from PTO, yeah.
She makes great cupcakes, right?
Yeah, she
Yes,
does.
she does.
Yeah. She also
Awesome.
and she also ran Frosties this year too,
Yes,
so
yes.
she's excited to join. She's got kids at the school.
She's a great addition.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say, I know Allison as well. I like that she's supportive of farming and of open space preservation, so I think she'd be very good.
And then, so those will all be appointed, and then, so we have the appointment of recycling committee members, that's by Township Committee. It's Rachel Atlee and Michael Cartfolio. It's a reappointment. We left them off the reorg minutes. They should have been reappointed then, so they're just being added to the reappointment. And then also, do I need a motion to do the appointments to Parks and, or to recycling? since it's committee, or, okay.
So the mayor's appointment?
It's a township committee appointment.
Oh, then
Yeah.
we should, yeah.
Let's take a vote.
So can I have a motion to approve Rachel Atlee and Michael Portfolio as reappointments to the recycling committee?
So moved.
Can I have a second? I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
No.
Okay. And then we have another one, I'm not sure if this is actually mayoral or township committee, but Rosemary Georgette, she's been our representative to the Solid Waste Advisory Committee from Hunterdon County. We have to have a representative there. She's done it before, and she agreed to do it again. So can I have a motion to approve Rosemary Georgette as our Hunterdon County Solid Waste Advisory Committee representative?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And then I'm also not positive about the Board of Health member, if that's mayoral or township committee. But Rick Wolf's term is up. He's up for reappointment, so I'm going to make a motion to reappoint him to the Board of Health. I spoke to the chair, Tracy Carluccio. She'd like to have him reappointed, so I'm going to make a motion can I have a motion to appoint Rick Wolf to the Board of Health?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
I'm opposed.
Yeah, you want to do a roll call, Linda?
Sure.
Okay.
Mr. Dentist?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
No.
Ms. Ramsey?
No.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mayor Casper Blue?
Yes.
And I just want to be on the record that I am not trying to be difficult here. I meant what I said last week when I said I want to work with you guys. This is not, trust me, I do not want the next 12 months to be us up here arguing and being disrespectful and honestly embarrassing ourselves in front of the residents. We've done that for the past 2 years. I want to move past that. The first part of this meeting when we were all together was cordial, was proactive. We got things done. That is how I want to move forward. But I'm so shocked and surprised by this. Guys, we just got past this. We got rid of someone who was cancerous to our residents, who was mean and insulting, and now we're bringing him back on Board of Health. I was on Board of Health for 2 years. I know how important it is. I know that it is things that can drive decisions for people's homes and their families and the community.
Just look at his face. He's loving this.
I
Look at the
just-
smirk on his face. Right?
Let's just keep it to,
Listen,
And trust me, I also feel really uncomfortable talking about a resident right now. I really grappled with even saying anything today because I don't feel comfortable with it. Because this is a resident, he's a taxpayer, I don't feel comfortable with it. But to put him on a committee, I really wish you guys would rethink this. I don't think it's the right decision. This is a committee that interacts with our residents. It's an important committee. It's one of the most important ones, again, that has such a value to our residents. And we've seen on display, not just what I'm saying, it's on YouTube, of the disrespect and, yeah, I don't know.
well, I just want to jump in. And the three of you, all of us, unanimously said last month, right? That we were going to be respectful, cordial, understanding, listen, value one another's opinion. All of the things that Rick Wolf never did. Now, last meeting, on his way out, what did he do? He called our farming community, our farmers, farmer mafia. Mike, you are law enforcement. What does that term mean to you? You're gonna call a group of East Amwell residents members of the mafia. That just shows the ignorance, the disrespect, and the disdain that man has for people in our township. And to parade him up here, to put him on any board, and we won't talk about lawsuits because they may be coming, and this is a risk you guys are gonna take, because he's a numbers guy by admission. You know, he's certainly not a people's guy. You're going to actually have him interact with other people, and you're taking a chance. You're taking a heck of a chance. So I don't know what you owe him, but this
Oh, okay,
is absolutely the wrong decision.
and again,
Jenna, how could you do this?
he's already been on it.
This is your chance
And the chair-
to do the
and-
right thing for the people, though.
He's already on it, and the chair wanted him reappointed.
He's a cancer, and he's been
I-
divisive, and he needs to stay away from local government as far as he can be.
I've noted your opinions, thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to move on. I actually forgot to mention something when we went to special announcements and recognitions. I know Mayor Castellano and Mayor Wolf would acknowledge people at times, and I meant to do that at the beginning and I forgot, so I'd like to acknowledge them now briefly. There's two things. We had a member of the recycling committee resign on December 29th, and she was scheduled to run the recycling depot on January 6th. So we didn't have much notice, but we had amazing volunteers step and jump in, and it went very smoothly on Saturday, wasn't any issue. So I just want to thank, very briefly, I know Daniel Ramsey and Leo Rommel helped open and close the grit yard and the recycling, the Styrofoam Palace, the shed. Mike Dendis came and helped, Kate Chacon, along with Lila, Julia, and Luke Chacon. Jason Bloom was there, Andrew Ronette, Rick Wolf, Rachel Atley, Mike Cortiful, Dennis and Don Hijack. They do the Trex program, and Erica Johansson. So I wanted to thank all them for being there and helping out on Saturday. It was a huge help, and it went really smoothly. And I also wanted to thank, too, some members of the Parks and Rec Committee, because I know a lot of people went to the Christmas tree lighting, and it was a really good success, but we have to clean up afterwards. So on Sunday, Stephanie Hutchin, Natalie Nelson, Jason Bloom, Francis Gavigan, and Emily Master-Pietro went there and took down as much as they could, the lights and everything, so Clausen House could be back to normal. So thank them for their volunteer work.
And John Buckwalter.
Oh, and John, thank you, Francis. And John Buckwalter was there, too. So thank you guys for doing that. It was a big help, so. So back on to the agenda in order now. It's the approval of the bills. I think Mike looked them over and Tara looked them over. No questions or issues? Yeah. So can I have a motion to approve the January 12th, 2023 bills of the evening?
So moved?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Mr. Dendis?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes.
Ms. Ramsey?
Yes.
Mr. DePiero?
Yes.
Mayor Casper.
Yes. So the administrative reports, we were able to look at those. Tax collector is going to be carried to February. No state police, as usual. And then West Amwell's supposed to be getting us something soon?
They are, I did ask again.
Okay.
By the end of this month.
Okay. So hopefully we'll get an update from them shortly. So can I have a motion to approve the administrative reports?
So moved.
No second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Moving on to the correspondence, there was a couple correspondence in there. Delaware Township's redoing their master plan, just put us on notice. So can I have a motion to open to the public, please?
Moved.
Second? Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are open to the public. Do you wanna, you can come. Okay.
Oh, no, I'll let somebody go ahead.
Noelle Wiggins, 75 John Ringo Road. I'm awful at speaking, so bear with me, please. With Rick Wolf now being on the Board of Health, there's a very important issue to me that is going on, the UAW. I'm asking that he recuse himself from any decision-making regarding that building. He has stated that he wants 3 of those types of buildings in the community. So I am really begging you that you have him recuse himself from any decision-making for that UAW building. So what do you say, please?
I think it's a great suggestion. I don't know how to do it. And as evidenced by a few different things, I have an opinion, but I don't know if it necessarily meshes with the rest of the committee. So I think it's an idea that should be considered.
Well, Frank, my guess is it's not a matter for the Township Committee, right? Wouldn't this be for the Board of Health?
It's a public comment session, so you're free to comment and the committee can take under advisement anything that's suggested, and we can look into that.
Dante, you're Board of Health, no, right? Are you the
No,
liaison?
Mike.
Oh, Mike, I'm sorry.
Is this gonna even come before the board?
Yes.
Yeah, it's for sewage and water, but not right now. but
We heard
eventually.
we heard you, we heard what you said, we'll take it under advisement.
Okay. And one other thing, I'm glad you brought up the mafia comment because I couldn't believe it. I was stunned that we had a great meeting, positive things being said, and then something like that comes out of his mouth. And it was okay. So we're right back to square one with the negative comments, the you don't matter, it's all about me. So we're back to that. And just so you know, that is offensive when somebody calls you a farmer's mafia and ask an Italian. Yes, they get offended too when you call them that they're in the mafia because they're Italian. So that's it. I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. And Linda?
Yep. Linda Raft, 148 Cider Mill Road. Okay, these are for the non-agenda items, which I couldn't bring up earlier. First of all, Linda, I wanted to give you a compliment that I had received unsolicited. Someone came over and was talking to you, and they came over and told me, have you met Linda at the municipal township building? I said, yes, she's great. And she says, she's wonderful. She helped me. She was so friendly. And I just want to tell you, it was completely unsolicited, but I think that the township committee should be aware of that because you hear all bad things. It's good for you to hear good things. That's my first.
Here.
Next one, Cider Mill Bridge. Remember, 148 Cider Mill Road? I can't turn to the right and go out of my driveway and go anyplace because that bridge is out. My question is, who is responsible for fixing that bridge? Because I think we've been more than a month at this point in time. When will they start on it? And who is our liaison with whoever's going to be fixing it?
I don't think we have, yeah, it's a county bridge, so it's up to the county.
The county? Who will be our liaison? Because, you know, like I remember that you acted as a liaison on the Van Loo's Bridge at one point in time. I thought maybe Jenna would because she's the liaison to the DPW. But I need, you know, like every once in a while, I'm going to bring up and say, have we heard anything? What's going on? Have we even told them? I can't turn right and go out of my driveway and go anyplace. So are you taking it as being the liaison, Jenna?
I will reach out to the county and see if they have an update. And when you're welcome to do that too, they might be more responsive, so. Yeah.
I don't know, I think you have more power than I do.
You might be more persuasive.
Persistent.
Yeah, well, you know I'm persistent. We've got that down pat. Next thing is on Mike and Dante, when they ran, very big on transparency. Do you know what? I asked Frank what transparency meant, and I couldn't understand him. Sorry, Frank. You do a good job with lawyerese, so what I would like, I know we're trying to improve what we had last year. I thought we were pretty good last year, and I was excited we were going to get even better. I would like to know who's going to describe what transparency means to the Township Committee. And please, nothing personal, Frank, but I turned around to Judy and said, did you understand what he said? So, I mean, I would think it would be either Dante or Mike because they already had an idea. When they were saying, running their campaign, they said, we're going for transparency, so you obviously had to know what you were going for.
Well, I'll just voluntarily give you one piece of information. So you were present at the planning board meeting when
Yes.
I was encouraging that we do scheduling in a manner which facilitated the public's ability to attend. So that's just an example of transparency. So because, I mean, speaking for myself, I believe that we want as many of the residents here as possible. We'd like residents to know what's going on. We'd like them to contribute their ideas. Those things are all transparency because they involve getting residents involved in what we're doing, knowing what's going on, and being able to contribute. So that's just an example from yesterday.
I understand what you're saying, but what we just went through today with the two open to the public and being limited to just agenda items in 10 minutes, and now me being limited to 10 minutes, I've never felt so confined as I do today. Like you really don't care about me, you just want me to get out of here.
Well, I don't recall that anyone's ever cut anyone off.
Oh, yeah, it's been done.
No, today.
No, not
I
today.
can't speak for anyone else. So
No.
I think what Jenna was saying before was, and this is an example of transparency for you as well. So in the past, the Township Committee has entertained items and voted on them, right? And then subsequently, residents get their first opportunity to speak. So I understand if you've got some adjustments you want with this, but the mayor's idea in having something specifically first was at least to give you an opportunity to speak the things that you saw were on the agenda. I understand if you think there might be other tweaks that are happening, but it's an example of transparency that she's trying to allow comments in advance, right? So I would say, see the effort, and if you've got a suggestion, I'm sure the Township Committee will consider other suggestions.
Well, I made some suggestions or questions, and like for the example of why do we have bills from 2021, and I don't think anybody even discussed that. We went through and we accepted those bills and we continue on. That to me is you just ignored me.
Well, what I would suggest, Linda, is communicate directly with me on that, and I'll get you the answers. We're not going to have every answer at our fingertips. It's just not possible.
But we already voted on it.
But I would suggest that when you mentioned about 10 minutes, that we don't care about you. It's not that we don't care about you. We want to leave time. I understand that the minutes are to allow time for anybody else to speak. So if we gave you an hour, nobody else would have time.
Absolutely.
But there has to be, what's a comfortable time for you to speak? How long do you think you need?
I tend to be very quick with what I speak. I run along, and I tend not to put too many other things in it. I can't tell you. This has really surprised me, having to come up with all of my questions before you even bring this stuff up. So, like when you voted...
Submit directly to me if it's finance, and I can get you the answers.
Okay.
I'm not the CFO.
Okay.
And it may take a little bit of time because they are professionals and they're not...
But we've already voted on it at that point.
Well, these are my understanding, these are bills that have to get fixed and paid, right?
Well, I mean, you can question.
But I'm not necessarily going to have an answer on nobody here is going to have an answer on every bill that happened.
I understand what you're saying, but I feel
Because one thing you
uncomfortable.
talked to me about, I actually signed myself up for a budgeting class.
Ooh, can I sign up for it?
I don't know. It's through the legal municipality, so I don't know if residents are able to do that, but I can certainly get to that answer.
Yeah.
If you want to submit me stuff, and I want to have an open lines of communication with you. I mean, that's what transparency means. It means, I'm not going to give you a Wikipedia definition of it, but it means we're here, like, we're communicating.
Okay.
There's no backroom decisions. It's an open line of communication. So submit me your questions, and I'll be happy to look into them for you.
Okay, I guess I'm looking for, it happens.
Francis brought up something a couple weeks ago. I'm looking for some answers on the generator issue you brought up a month ago.
It's got to do with the zoning code.
Right, so I don't have that, I'm not an open.
Contact me, I can lead you right.
And that was when you spoke tonight. I was going to tell you, give me that stuff, and I'll look into it. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if it's an easy fix, if it's not an easy fix, but we can certainly get pointed in the right direction. And I mean, I think when you ask about transparency, I don't know if it's a gotcha, getcha kind of question. I'm not prepared to give you, the Dexter's Dictionary version of it, but I'm here.
I think I got that from
I
Frank.
told you guys, my phone's on, my email's on. I told you, what did I tell you the first night? If it's after 10 o'clock, call Michelle, right? My phone's going off.
Right.
I'm kidding, by the way. Don't call
Where
my
do we
wife.
get the phone number? I know it's not on the website.
I think it is, though.
It is on the website.
No.
But I'll give it to you. Like,
Okay, when I went at the website, everybody had the same email address. It sounded like it was at East Amwell Township, so it sounded like it was.
they're all our first letter and our last name at East Amwell Township.
Yeah, but that's.
There's a pamphlet up there that has all the
Yeah,
phone
but
numbers
I'll
and
give
email.
it to you
Yeah.
before we
Thank
leave
you.
tonight.
Thank you.
I just think you're probably going to have better luck getting answers if you even submit them to me ahead. If it's to do with what I'm connected to,
Okay.
give it to me ahead of time. Give me a couple days to work on it, because it sounds like a lot of our professionals are part-time. They apparently are all very busy and probably, I know overworked, and we're trying to resolve some of these issues, and I think we made some progress.
I'll
as a
just tell
group
you.
tonight that we were all unanimous on. So I would suggest that this group has a lot more in common than we don't.
I
think
really
that we're
want to
all
work
working
with
in the
you.
same direction. I don't feel that the five of us are against each other. I don't feel we're working against each other. There's going to be different opinions on who gets appointed where, and that's how it goes.
Well, as I said, I'm uncomfortable about the way the agenda is, and I pretty much got, yep, we heard you. And I'm uncomfortable about some of the other things, and I didn't get a real warm, fuzzy feeling on it. So we can continue on as we're doing, and hopefully I'll get more comfortable. But I don't think that some of the things that we're doing are done that way in other townships or in other meetings. My personal feeling.
Well, I'll just leave you with one thought. So this is how it's done in lots of other municipalities, and a lot of municipalities don't allow the public, as much opportunity to comment. The other thing is, just by way of example, I mean, I actually had the clock on just to see how long folks are going. You're over 16 minutes already.
See what I said?
Right,
Yeah.
and you see how no one's cut you off. But the idea is, can you imagine if with each thing that we were going to do, we open it up to the public, and you take 15 minutes, and he takes 15 minutes, so we're trying to figure out how to have good input and yet keep it a meaningful thing that doesn't take everyone all night. So your suggestions are welcome. So you shouldn't feel like there's no warm and fuzzy feeling. We're feeling this out. This is an attempt to give more input, and if you think something else, please make a suggestion when you come back.
So if I understand this correctly, in order for me to keep it to 10 minutes, I did write my 3-page PowerPoint presentation, so I was following that. But I should do more with contacting individual people. I know I can't contact you all with the same email, because that's considered trying to get a quorum, and I can't do that. But I can contact individual people that I think, like Mike has said, hey, you have financial questions, talk to me. So, I've automatically made Jenna the one for, hey, help us with our bridge. There's a lot of people who are interested in that. Dante, I'm going to come up with ones for you. So that is acceptable, and I will try to do that
I think
more.
that's how you're going to get the best answers, too, because we can't answer everything from here tonight.
Mhm.
It's going to take, okay, let me go look into this.
Mhm.
But if you give me the questions ahead of time, I
Mhm.
might even have them for you the night of.
Great.
Or after. Submit them to me, either email or hand me a piece of paper at the end of the night. I'll look into it and get back to you.
Fantastic, I
All right?
appreciate it.
I want you to feel welcome and included.
Oh, I'll always
Because
keep
very
going.
few people do what you do with Francis. This is what communities, you should come here and offer your input. That's what I want you to do. But we also want others to do that too.
Well, I'll try to keep the clock sitting here and, like they have for the chess where you hit it when you start talking and you hit it when it's at the end. So I'll try to do that. But I do appreciate you letting me go to the 18 minutes. And thank you very much. And I'll try to be more concise. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public?
Kevin Ostrander, still at 174 Old York Road. So first of all, let me say, now that it's the open session, it's not agenda items, I wanted to welcome the 2 newest members of the committee, and I sincerely mean that. And I want you both to succeed, because the community depends on that. This is going to be a functioning government body, and that's how it has to work, no matter what our differences are. I will preface what I'm going to say to you here shortly, that for me it's always been about policy, not people. And some of the attacks that were made on myself and my wife, I mean, we've taken politics in this town to an all-new low, and I'm disgusted by it. So I hope your ears are very open tonight. I appreciate the time to speak. Indulge me as well, because I may run over a few minutes. But I'll tell you one thing, I will clear the air tonight on some things, and I'm not going to bring them up again. So it'll be a public statement tonight. You can do what you want with it, but I would suggest you listen very carefully. That's my biggest advice to anybody that sits on the committee. Listen to what residents are saying to you and process that. You don't necessarily have to respond right away, but think about it. Some other members have not done that very well. I can think back to when I was here in October speaking. So when somebody up there didn't have anything substantive to say about the content, they immediately launched into a personal attack. Gee, I wonder who that could have been. That's not the way to do business here. We're all residents. We all pay taxes here. We want the best for the township. And that was my comments before even on volunteerism in town. So anyway, let me tell you what I want to talk about tonight. There's 2 buckets, okay? So I do welcome you 2, and I really do want the best, as I said, for the committee. I will say it's a very inexperienced majority. I mean, we have basically 3 people now that have majority in the town that have a combined 1 year of experience on the township committee. Now, I was actually nominated in 2017, believe it or not, for deputy mayor by Rick Wolf, based on the sheer vote count that we had in that election cycle. And I did not get any votes, obviously, from the Democrat majority at that point. And the comment to me was, well, we might consider it after a year on the committee. So get some experience, and then maybe we'll consider it. Now, that was obviously just a bunch of talk, but there's some sense to that, right? And I'm not sure what the dynamics were here, if there was actually any consideration at all to have Tara stay on as deputy mayor or bring John in, somebody that's already been seasoned for a couple of years. I'm guessing not. And again, I wasn't here for the reorg meeting on the 3rd, but yeah, I found it interesting advice from the Democrats then, and they just obviously have a differing opinion when it suits their needs. So here are my comments. I have two general categories, as I said earlier. So what I'm going to talk about initially was the conduct during the campaign. I alluded to that, Mike. I think you get it, right? I'm not happy about that conduct, okay? And there's obviously a lot of leeway in New Jersey on things that you can say. You can basically lie. You can commit slander. And there's no legal recourse for candidates, okay? So I have a problem with it. Here's what I'm going to tell you I have a problem with. I'm going to talk about a couple of specifics tonight. 30 years ago, I served as lieutenant, okay, second lieutenant in the armed forces of this country. I wore the uniform, and with that come a lot of things. Tara's husband can appreciate that. So what do you learn when you do that? First of all, you learn you help everybody, whether they're citizens or they're people in another faraway land, which I very quickly learned as well. So that's something you learn very early on, and I respect that. You do learn honor, you learn dignity, you learn respect, discipline. There's a lot of characteristics. Actually, not that different from law enforcement, Mike, right? There's a lot of similar traits there. So I've tried to live my life according to what I learned when I was in the service. You realize 1% of the country serves? 1%. It's abysmal. 1% either serves actively or served. Now, obviously, the population's growing, percentages change, but I took that role very seriously, and I've used that throughout my life. So I got to tell you, when somebody, the two newest members of the committee, send a mailer out like this, and I'm going to read the back, facts. It says facts about our opponents. And you start going down the list, and there's no facts at all about this. It gets to the bottom. It says, Kevin Ostrander and his wife have made derisive comments about those who support the LGBTQ community. There's a reference. You know what the reference is? None of you probably even read it. So the reference was to a complaint that was made by my wife about conduct at a board meeting at Hunterton Central High School. So my question to you, obviously, you don't have to answer. I don't think you should actually, because the political season is over. So be very careful how you respond. But when you get to me, where are the facts about me? Where are the derisive comments I've ever made about anybody? I just told you how I live my life. Anybody that knows me knows I'm a stand-up guy and I'm honest. I don't know you guys from Adam. You don't know me. So to go out and make comments like this, I know where it came from. This is obviously a perpetuation of somebody else's lies that came out in a letter during the fall. And it's irresponsible, and it's ridiculous. I didn't think this town was ever going to see something like that. So my wife didn't make derisive comments. So apparently now when we politic in East Rand, well, it's open season on the families. My wife wasn't even a candidate. She wasn't on the ballot. I was on the ballot. The attacks can come to me. But you didn't have anything on me, so then you go after my wife. Now, just be aware, that is a legal process to keep our elected officials in check. They can actually make ethics complaints anytime they want. There's 700 school districts in this state. And I got news for it. Hundreds of claims get submitted every year. Now, in this particular case, you'll read the footnote because it was cleverly, again, word crafting as usual. It's like, it was deemed to be, what was the comment here we've got? So it was deemed to be frivolous, and she was fined. Yes, $100 fine. It was terrible. You have to realize when you actually submit a complaint, there's two outcomes. Either you win the complaint or you don't. If you don't win the complaint, it's automatically frivolous. The way they define frivolous is two ways. One, essentially, you're harassing a board member. That was not this. The other one is you haven't met the legal standard, okay? Understand that? Dante, you're a lawyer. You probably get it. That's the way it's set up. So you're either going to win or it's going to be frivolous. They did not, no,
if
no,
you
no,
ask-
no, no, no. It's
Well,
my,
I'm sorry, I thought
Dante,
you
it's
asked me
my
a question.
time.
Did you ask
Let
me a
me
question?
finish talking
Did you
first.
ask me a question? You said
I didn't ask you a
lawyer.
question. I said you
Oh.
probably understand this. Wait till I'm done.
I do understand.
Wait till I'm done, okay? So the bottom line is that's a bunch of nonsense. So it's a right that everybody has. They should take advantage of it. And just because the outcome was that, so be it. People need to speak out if they're not happy with what's going on with their elected officials. We're all taxpayers, we're all residents, we all have the right to that. It's unfortunate, some people are, there's no attack on the LGBTQ community. This was just a headline. Somebody pulled this information out from like Tappan to Flemington. There's no journalists there. They're just reporting out what they heard on, from a liberal commentator on 101.5. It's BS. I don't take kindly to it. I think you can understand. I think if the tables were turned, now I did this on you two gentlemen, I think you would be livid. If I said something about Rick Wolf's wife, he would be absolutely out of his mind. But again, I'm supposed to just sit here and just take it? I'm not going to take it. The same thing with the comments on Mark Castellano. I've known that guy for more than 10 years, he and his family. They are solid citizens in this community. They are good residents. And to basically come out and call them a racist, that's nonsense. Everybody knows that this is political garbage. But the problem is you guys perpetuated it. You called it facts. Your name is on it. I don't even think you guys wrote it, quite frankly. But your name's on it, it comes back to your address, so I don't know what to think about it, other than I'm ticked off, and I think you guys really should apologize, because you've taken politics to an all-new low. And that's another reason why Rick Wolf shouldn't be on any committees here. Everybody read his letters, most people threw them in the garbage, and that was all a bunch of nonsense attacks on people as well. When you don't have anything substantive to say, you attack people's characters. And you don't have to prove anything. It's not a communication two-way, it's one way. I'm just sending a letter, hiding behind my computer, making posts on Facebook, whatever I want to do. And I don't play that way. So hopefully it's pretty clear that I'm not happy. But the funny thing is, when you look at our plan side of it, we're going to serve all residents. We will treat residents equally and with respect. We will serve all residents to the best of our ability. Sure as hell didn't get that from me and my family, Mark and his family. I mean, that's pretty sad. So this is all just a bunch of fodder, politics, and nonsense. I hope your guys' conduct is a lot better on this committee than it was, to my point, during the election process, because I think this is really sad. My dad was a cop for 35 years. I can tell you, he never went out and made any false accusations on anybody and put it into writing especially. You should be embarrassed by this. Now, the second component. Oh, one more thing, Mike. I dug this one up. I thought it was interesting when you ran in 2017 for the school board seat at Hunterdon Central. This is what you said about your opponent. You lost that election to Chris Sobieski. I'm not running for this position for political purposes and became concerned when I read things my opponent is saying, things like cleaning up and bringing needed change to Hunterdon Central Regional High School. I'm afraid that with words like that, he's running a political campaign and looking to use this opportunity as a political stepping stone. Fascinating. I mean, I look at this, I'm like, where's this guy? Because that's not what I see here. I mean, you seem like you're a political campaigner. You must have evolved on the issue over the last few years. That's all I'm going to say about it. I'm not going to talk about it again. It's on public record. I'm not happy. Second thing we're going to get to is you, Jenna. So you sent out your own letter.
You want to go on?
Please, indulge me, because it's a one-and-done event, okay? So I appreciate it. Now, Jenny, you sent out your letter. You remember I came in here in October. I addressed the Township Committee on Development. Exactly what my guys that we were running against, the opponents, kept talking about. It was crickets. Nobody said anything about development. They were unaware of anything that was going on in the township. Yet, again, Rick Wolf launched into some character attack on me because he didn't have anything, again, substantive or useful to add to the conversation. But then you send out a letter about a week later, and you talk about various things in here. I will say, in your defense, you didn't say anything negative about me. So thank you for that. I mean, at least you kept it above board. Now, some of the things you said were disingenuous, of course, and that's, again, something we're going to talk a little bit about tonight. But there's a few things here that popped out at me, and I thought it was relevant for tonight. So, Mayor Castellano and his allies are achieving this objective by, stacking our planning boards. Talk about stacking. We've had a mass exodus of people that have left a host of different committees and boards. I mean, have everybody that's been appointed been vetted? Has everybody been vetted by actually the chair of each and every committee and board? I probably would say not. What's the party affiliation of most of the people that are actually being appointed? I can tell you, it's probably not a bunch of ours. So something to think about. You put these words out, and if you mean them, you got to actually walk that walk and execute accordingly. Our taxes could continue to increase. Yeah, the fear tactics, that's old EADA stuff we've heard. Developing the town, we're going to make it look like Raritan. I've been here over 20 years. That's never happened. And then it goes on, no transparency in our local government. And then obviously it comes up in this thing about transparency. Someone asked tonight, what's the definition of transparency? I don't know. We're a week in, and I see some things on here. Now, I'm not sure it's very transparent. It looks like there's some backroom deals, quid pro quos, to throw in a little Latin for our lawyer friends. It's concerning, and I hope it changes, because you know what? This is not real. You put these things out, and you don't believe it. You don't follow through on it. It's just a bunch of nonsense, and it's disgusting. And I think people are fed up with it. I'm one of them that's fed up, but I do hope things get better. I do hope you guys really do drive things in the right direction. But as you can imagine, based on things that you've already publicized to the entire community, yeah, I'm a little concerned that that's not going to be the case. So thank you for indulging me, letting me run over a few minutes, and best of luck.
Anyone else from the public?
Thank you. I won't be long. I just want to reiterate my objection to your appointment of Rick Wolf to the Board of Health. And what I find most interesting is he's demonstrated that he used his authority to essentially attack a resident, Joel Moore, and his business. The Ridge got us into some massive lawsuits, and he was found by the courts to have violated his ethics as an attorney. But yet, you seem to forget that. And now you put him on a board that could effectively give him an avenue to exact vendettas on residents who may come to that board for some septic work, for instance, because he doesn't like them. So, just really think about that. I mean, I know that there's still outstanding lawsuits or settlements going on, and nobody likes to talk about it, but he got this town into a lot of trouble because he used the authority to exact a vendetta on someone he didn't like in his community, who was a resident, taxpayer, businessman. And you, the three of you, even hearing from your other two members of the Township Committee, ignored the advice of some people who were very close to it and went ahead and voted for him to go ahead on it. I don't understand it, other than there's some sort of, you owe it to him, which is probably what's the case. He probably funded a lot of your campaign, wrote some of your stuff, so you felt obligated. Well, you're gonna live to regret it, and we're gonna get lawsuits from residents because they're gonna go into the Board of Health and they're gonna get bullied, they're gonna be treated poorly, they're gonna be denied things, and we now have a launch pad to sue because he's got precedents set for that. So just be ready for it. Thank you.
Francis?
I'll go back a step first to when you started this, when they were talking about there's a new Facebook page for the township coming up.
It's not new, it's been in existence, but yeah.
Okay. Well, there are, Francis Gavigan, 123 Wurtsville Road. There have been problems with a private Facebook page that Candace Wiggums started in 2018 that people in the township and on Facebook treat and assume as if it's an official place. It uses a picture of Clausen House. It has 2,900 members. There was a lot of controversy over the years where if something went up that was deemed by an individual, it came down instantly, and then there were things that were inaccurate or slanderous or whatever that resurrected more than someone from another culture. That's as far as I'll go on that one. I think it would be behooving the township residents for transparency to promote the township Facebook page as the place to put stuff and to request that the East Amwell Bulletin Board, and I tried that for a couple months, at least disclose your engagement so that people using it know this isn't the official, this is one that an individual can use up and down and all of that. Simple with that. With Linda and the finance and the 2021, here's a mini history lesson. Our professionals, especially as they evolve or leave, are horrible at submitting bills. And that is very likely a professional bill that got lost somewhere and then came and is playing catch up. What it does underscore is one thing we have, and we cannot, we have a very good clerk, and we can't afford to burn her out or drive her out and have to keep getting put on her head. And I can see the strain. She doesn't complain, but I'm around fairly often and observant. There's Pam and there's Linda in the office. You need to get someone else in here, spend the money, who can do some of those kinds of tasks, because it all falls on Linda. And you're going, there are old, you know, there are a lot of, I won't go into donkey jokes and things like that, but you don't work them to death. And I think there's the fact that it's complicated by the people that left, the people that quit, the things you didn't have, and a whole lot of cleanup, trying to reconstruct files and emails that poofed into the ozone, and our records were a mess through no fault of the elected people. And I won't go any further than that, but there's a lot of catch-up and cleanup that still remains, and to be successful, it behooves you to get some help, whether it's a volunteer or paid person or someone who can do some of that stuff. Because, you know, the language that the state of New Jersey used in their letters to East Amwell about you gotta have a qualified clerk, and there aren't that many around, and they're in demand. So we gotta put a little bubble wrap around her to keep her here. That's just it. As far as the agenda and the morphing, it's like I'll put it in horse person language. You're changing the feed, you're changing the grain. You're going from Timothy to alfalfa. You're going from low protein to high protein. You do it incrementally, you try and you say, oh, did it scour or whatever. Cutting you guys a lot of slack and all of that stuff. So I can appreciate the efforts and the tolerance that you're going to say. The last thing is to do with the request that was made for recusal. I have been going to all of the planning board meetings. I have seen people speak, I have seen people talk. Many a time they've done it and it's on the camera. And there is clear, concrete evidence of involvement with Region 9, promoting it, helping behind the scenes, and you're going to get sued. The Ridge lawsuit was summary judgment, that prima facie on the facts, no, this was abusive and should never have been. So, should not even be in the room when the Board of Health is on discussing that. And I would hope that the Board of Health would come back and start meeting in this room, because people can't talk to them and they can't comment, and that lacks transparency. And you can recuse yourself, turn your camera off, and you can still be there. Protect yourself, because, you know, what I learned in industry was I make my reputation or I lose it each and every day because I can't afford to not be careful. You've gotten a lot of warnings about buffering the township. I don't know if you're for it or not, the Region 9, but there is risk. Here there be dragons, as the old maps used to say. So protect yourself. Just that.
Thank you.
Francis, have you tried to ask questions on the Board of Health meetings and aren't able to do that? Because there should be an option to, even if there's
No, it would
Zoom.
never work. They need to be here. It's convenient to sit home and be there, and just like people can't hear what you're saying, Zoom is like the Tower of Babel. You don't get anything done. It's not productive. And the Board of Health in East Amwell has unique in all of Hunterdon County ability to make laws and impose conditions on the public. And, you know, people don't need to be retaliated against. I think the one good thing I can say that should I ever have to deal with them, I've got enough evidence over the years for recusal simply because of prior behavior. But people are afraid. When Linda first came here, I had to go, she was afraid to speak, and it's on tape. I'm not afraid of you, John. I'm not afraid of you. I'm afraid of you, Mr. Wolf. And he does, he retaliates. I'm old, I don't care. But other people are shyer about speaking up if they think they're going to get attacked. So, you know, be careful what you do, because now you guys are officially on notice. And I don't know how the insurance company would feel about that, Frank, but I don't know. I'm just a minion.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Oh, did you already speak this time?
Yeah, I do have a question, though.
That I would ask us later.
Okay.
It's one time per public session.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Is there anybody else open to the public?
Joanne Engelman.
Yeah, make sure you're speaking to the mic.
Joanne Engelman,
Yeah.
6 Dutch Lane. Hi. I was just watching the meeting from home. I think as you and I spoke the other, I threw my coat on and out the door because it was that important when I heard some of the comments. And I just don't want you to think that there's a few people sitting here feeling the way about that appointment, even though you said it's a renewal. I'm not sure, I don't know the chair, but you said that she wants to reappoint Mr. Wolf. But I just want to back what they're saying, and I needed to come and say that. It's not a game, it's not high school anymore. It's not even about who we like and who we don't like. Board of Health is a very serious board. Recycling, that's a good one for some people. This is very serious. So, it may be us out here today, but one day, it could be you. And please reconsider, or at least put some limits on the powers that some people have. Really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that'd like to speak?
Hi, I'm Rick Wolf, 21 Rynearson Road. There are a few things I'd like to discuss tonight. I'm going to start by just clearing away some of the underbrush. First of all, Mayor Matthews' statement that that the court found that I violated ethics as an attorney, flat out incorrect. The court never found that. The Ridge argued it, and the judge did not find that. If that's of any doubt, you can ask our municipal lawyer. He will confirm what I'm saying. Neither the trial court nor the appellate division found that I violated any ethics rules.
That's correct.
Farmers Mafia. I didn't make that up. It's on Facebook. Came from Darcy Perrins, Dave Bond, a host of others. They call themselves the Farmers Mafia. They were going to have bumper stickers printed. I don't know whether they ever did. It's all on Facebook. So that didn't come from me. On the recusal issue on the Board of Health, if Region 9 were to come before the Board of Health, of course I would recuse myself. I pretty much have to because I was very involved with Region 9 as the mayor. I don't see how I could possibly be involved in that hearing. So to the extent that there's any indigestion about me being involved on the Board of Health in a Region 9 application, I'll just take that off the table. Because that to me is a no-brainer, and I suspect Frank would come to the same conclusion. Francis's statement that the Board of Health is unique in Hunterdon County and the powers that it has is also flat out incorrect. State law boards of health and township form of government have to have a Board of Health. And they have to have a state law compliant Board of Health. It is not optional, it is mandatory. And that Board of Health under state law has the right to enact certain types of ordinances. It's not unique to East Amwell, it's not unique to Hunterdon County, it's throughout the state. So that statement is just flat out incorrect. Those weren't the things that I actually wanted to talk about tonight, but they came up in the meeting and I wanted to clear away some of the underbrush. What I did want to talk about tonight is one aspect of the campaign that both our former Mayor Tim Matthews and Kevin Ostrander commented on, which I'll loosely call bigotry. And I'd like to give a little bit of history and then I'm going to get into a more detailed discussion because this is something that, like Mr. Ostrander, I feel strongly about. My law firm feels very strongly about, and the people that I feel are close to me feel very strongly about. But I'll start with a little history. In 2018, Tim Matthews was made mayor and I was made deputy mayor. One of the great things about being mayor, and one of the things I most enjoyed about being mayor, is that the mayor has the ability to marry people. And the deputy mayor also has that power. When Tim Matthews was appointed mayor and I was appointed deputy mayor, one of the first things Tim Matthews said to me is that if East Amwell is called upon to perform a same-sex marriage, he will not do it. That I would have to do it. And then he went on to deride that community in explaining to me why he wouldn't do it. That was the beginning of my relationship with Mr. Matthews souring. And when he came to me in 2019 saying he was going to run again, I told him, you can run again. You will not have my support. You will not have my wife's support. And I will make it public some of the things, some of your beliefs, and some of the things that you did while mayor. And this is just one of the bad things he did while mayor. But I have zero tolerance for that kind of bigotry. None. So fast forward to 2022. I send out a letter to the residents, which Mr. Ostrander says is filled with lies. Allison Castellano, Rick Wolf's poison pen letters. Well, let me read from the poison pen letter. Let's take it statement by statement. Bigotry in our local government was the heading in my letter. I strongly believe that elected officials should never act in a way that would cause their constituents to believe they will be treated differently based upon their race, religion, sexual orientation, gender, or other diverse backgrounds. What a terrible, horrible statement I made. that our township committee should treat everyone equally. People should never feel that they're being treated differently because of race, religion, sexual orientation, etc. I should be run out of this town for those kinds of thoughts. I can't imagine why you'd put me on any board. Mayor Castellano and Kevin Ostrander have made it very clear publicly and repeatedly they do not share this belief. To the contrary, Castellano and Ostrander accept and even embrace racism and homophobia. For example, in September, a resident of East Amwell, who is Mayor Castellano's friend and landscaper, made a blatantly racist statement on the East Amwell Facebook page regarding the ethnicity of an employee of a local business. That statement is 100% true. The statement on the Facebook page was flat out racist. You could Google the word. It will say it's racist. Flat out racist. Was this Mayor Castellano's friend and landscaper? Yes. Was it somebody he recommended multiple times while he was mayor on Facebook? Yes. One of Mayor Castellano's pro-development colleagues on our township committee expressed support on Facebook for that racist statement. False statement? No. He's sitting right there. He pressed like. Did he try to explain it away by, I didn't read the entire post, the entire 13-word post. He didn't read it. It was late at night. I was tired. My wife found the post at 9 o'clock at night. It was posted before 9 o'clock. It wasn't late at night. He was lying through his teeth. He showed his true colors.
You're a liar. You're a liar.
I have the floor.
You're a liar.
I
don't care. You're a liar.
I have the
Let's
floor.
let him speak. I mean, this thing whole started when others brought all sorts of allegations. Personally, I would like nobody to talk in person, but if we've let people talk in person, then we're going to let everybody talk in person, and then hopefully get it out of our system.
This is the divisive guy that came to town right here.
Well, yeah, if we let one person speak, we let them all speak. So the first folks, a number of folks have said what they wanted to say. I would prefer that we not have personal stuff, but they did it already, so now this is the other side of it. So let's hear it all. Let's hear it all tonight.
At our September Township Committee meeting, individuals who were deeply hurt by these racist actions asked Mayor Castellano to condemn the actions. True. Watch the October 2022 meeting. He did not. He sat silent. When asked whether he would continue to use and publicly promote the landscaping business of his friend who made the racist statement, Mayor Castellano again sat silent. Watch the meeting. True. Equally disturbing, Mayor Castellano's running mate, Kevin Ostrander, has publicly derided those who support the LGBTQ community and has used derogatory terms to describe those who are part of that community. False statement? Listen to the recordings, watch the video of Kevin Ostrander at the school board meetings. He clearly derides the LGBTQ community. And he's done it at the recycling depot. He used homophobic names to describe people as part of that community. In fact, the homophobic views of the Ostranders are so extreme that in August of this year, the New Jersey School Ethics Commission fined Ostrander's wife for filing a frivolous complaint against a school board member who wore a pride mask to show support for the LGBTQ community. Another false statement? Well, go read the decision. His wife was fined. And I don't profess to have expertise on those types of hearings, but it's hard for me to believe that when you go to one of those hearings, either you win or it's deemed frivolous and you get fined. That sounds nonsense to me. That can't be the way it works, where if you lose, you're automatically deemed frivolous and you're fined. So all these lies that are supposedly out there, they're all there watch to see. It's all public. I didn't make any of this up. And to make matters worse, at our December 29th Township Committee meeting, Allison Castellano comes in and says the following, and I'm quoting, "You accuse Mark of being racist all because a landscaper, a local small business who we've stayed loyal to for 18 years, made a bad comment on Facebook. Really? Mark can't control the speech of others." A bad comment? And I have been told by several residents that statement that was made by Castellano's landscaper isn't an isolated incident. This fellow says that all the time. And the Castellanos have been loyal to him for 18 years. Loyal to a known racist. What does that say about the Castellanos? I don't want Mark Castellano or Kevin Ostrander at that dais. It undermines the principle that I started with, which is residents who come before this committee should never feel like they may be treated differently because of race, religion, sexual orientation, gender, etc. And you have John Mills up there talking about me being divisive. There are few things more divisive than racism. There's your racist. As long as he's there, you're going to have divicism on this township committee. That's not what this committee is all about. There are other reasons why I'm really happy Kevin Ostrander wasn't elected. On the Republican side, you have moderate Republicans, you have conservative Republicans, you have MAGA Republicans, and you have batshit crazy Republicans. What is a batshit crazy Republican? Watch the January 6th insurrection. The guy wearing the horns and the fur vest is a batshit crazy Republican. The people that followed that guy into the Capitol are batshit crazy Republicans. One of the things Kathy and I realized getting to know the Ostranders when I served on the Township Committee with him, he's a batshit crazy Republican. We don't need batshit crazy Republicans running this town. So to the extent that I played any role, that my letters played any role in keeping Ostrander and Castellano from sitting at that dais, it's one of my proudest accomplishments in the 6 years I served on the Township Committee. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak from the public? Can I have a motion to close to the public?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
There being no further business, I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Adjourn the meeting at 8:48 PM. Thank you.
You guys.